Hi, it's James Harrison. It's a new lesson day, and today we're going to do another shuffle. We'll continue to do some more shuffles in the new year, but we won't do it every single week. We'll randomly throw one in now and then. But what I'm going to talk about today is an old country shuffle, and we're going to talk about the way it evolved through different people performing the song. So the song was originally, and to me, that I know of, done around 1962 or 63 by Buck Owens. It's a tune called Act Naturally. And then the Beatles did a cover of it where Ringo sang, and it was on the album Help, I believe. And then, well, Help, not Help, I believe, but Help. I believe it was on that album. And then there's a live version of the Beatles doing it, a black and white YouTube recording and whatnot. And then in the 80s, Ringo and Buck Owens both did it as a duet together. We're going to talk about the different ways the shuffle evolved through those. Now, I honestly don't know on the original recording by Buck Owens if there's a bass drum in there or not. A lot of the recordings from back in that era on the country music scene didn't use a lot of drums. And if they did, they were very muted down and very deadened to be to the point where they almost sounded like playing on a box or playing on rims, or like DJ Fontana with Elvis played on a guitar case on the '69 special. A lot of that kind of sound. Anyway, I'm not a singer, but the tune is a pretty famous song. It goes, they're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me. It goes something like that, and it's a shuffle. And so the original Buck Owens version, again, I can't hear any bass drum on there, and it almost sounds like it's not really a good cross stick like a wood type sound. It's more of a chunky low type sound, and he's either playing the right hand on the rim and a shuffle like this. 2, 4. It could be on a tight hi-hat as well. It's pretty ricky-ticky in that sense. It's not very jazz-oriented. It's more fairly tight. And if there is a bass drum, it's just a 4 on the floor type of thing. Probably the original tempo is like. Now, do you notice on there, I just played it pretty smooth. I didn't accent any particular part. I didn't play the bass drum heavy. I didn't play a heavy backbeat. It's just like the. Okay, now there's a version with Buck Owens and the Buckaroos playing it on Hee Haw, and they're flying on it. It's probably more like pretty fast. And the drummer, you can see on there, is playing a cross stick, and you can see his stick way beyond the edge of the drum. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not really a cross stick as much as it is that or that type of sound. Now, I've got this towel with me. I'm going to put this on the drum. And the reason why is I'm trying to mute this drum to be very dead. A lot of the country music that you heard then, and there's some live versions with Buck Owens where you'll actually hear it on the snare drum as well. And it's pretty boxy and pretty dead. And it would be more along the lines of this. One of those. I'm not accenting heavy or. It's just. Back in those days, the drum was like accompanying and supplementing, but not laying down a heavy foundation, just being rhythmically accurate and whatnot. Okay, so a lot of the drums had that dead sound to it, okay? So that's why I put the towel on there. Now, when the Beatles version came out, one more thing. When you hear the modern versions of with Buck Owens before he passed away, it became more like the country rock shuffles, where it's basically the same part, but definitely definitely heavier on the bottom end. I'll do it this way. Something like that. Now the Beatles in the 60s covered that with Ringo singing. Ringo sang one song on every album. And I'm going to talk about Ringo's playing. Ringo had a very unique style to his playing. And a lot of people don't like Ringo. A lot of people love Ringo. Our drummers argue about it all the time. I'll just put it this way. I like Ringo. And for those that don't like him or his drumming, no explanation I give you will do. And for those who do appreciate and understand Ringo, no explanation is necessary. So that's the best way I can put it. But now on the recording by the Beatles, the studio recording, there's he plays a cross stick on that as well. But he plays a very unique rim part. And then the bass drum is very random, like once every 2 bars, maybe once every 4 bars, until the end of the chorus, and then it goes into a gallop type pattern. Sorry. Then it's very random again. So if I do the cross stick, I'm going to do it like right here, and it's kind of like the way he would do it on there. He plays a random pattern on the rim with the right hand. It actually sounds like it was dubbed in later or overdubbed, but instead of playing a steady pattern, it's more like very random, something like this. Something along those lines. And then when it gets to the chorus, it's very much the same thing, except the end of it. It's kind of like this. Something along those lines. Now on the live version, the video on YouTube, Ringo singing and playing, and this is we're gonna get into a little bit of Ringo characteristic. It's pretty fast, and he's playing that gallop on the bass drum the whole time. He's playing the backbeat on 2 and 4 the snare, and he's playing a hi-hat pattern that instead of being Dixieland swingish, it's really a cross between straight and swing, and it's kind of like a lot of New Orleans players call this playing between the cracks, or it's not quite straight, it's not quite swung, it's kind of in between. So it's kind of like a pattern. Now from the camera angle it's hard to see, but it looks like he's going. But having been somebody that kind of watched a lot of Ringo and tried to study a lot of Ringo, Ringo was a left-handed player. He had a swipe to his playing. I believe he came out to in. And so a lot of his sounds had a long sound and then a short sound kind of. So I've always gone, if I'm trying to emulate Ringo, I've always gone in to out. And I'm trying to do a pattern like that, it really helps. So something like this. It's not straight. Okay, and he does that on the live version the whole time. And then you get into the 90s version, and it's a duet between Buck Owens and Ringo Starr. And it becomes more of a 2-beat type situation with an implied swing and the bass drum randomly or the snare now and then, kind of like. along those lines. So you can see, again, you've got the choice to do cross sticks, swing it, straight, two beat. So again, Ringo style, Buck Owens drummer style. Seems like there were several different drummers on YouTube of him doing it. Again, a variety of tempos, all the way up to a modern version on like Austin City Limits, which is it's pretty heavy. It's more along the line. But just the evolution of that tune and that shuffle really make it interesting. So there you go. It's kind of a country shuffle, blended into rock, blended into a merging of a two beat and whatnot. But there you go. Check it out. Act Naturally by Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. Later by the Beatles. And then in the 80s, a combination of Ringo and Buck Owens. Check it out.